What if I told you that 5 ancient habits could completely transform your mindset and your life in just 7 days? I am Seneca, one of the ancient Stoics. We learned to master these strategies centuries ago, and their lessons can help you find balance, build courage, and thrive in today's chaotic world. And wait until you hear about the final habit. It's so powerful it changed my life forever. I was a philosopher, writer, advisor to emperors, and occasional scapegoat. My life. Oh, it had everything: betrayal, exile, scandal, and yes, moments of profound clarity. Sound familiar? Life's chaos isn't new, but don't worry. I've spent decades developing habits to find peace, courage, and purpose no matter the circumstances. Another evening in Rome, and here I sit, quill in hand, candle flickering, and the faint sound of Nero's harp, badly played I might add, drifting through the air. But before I can rest, I must perform my nightly ritual. No, not indulging in wine or deciphering Nero's latest poetry. It's something far more essential, reflecting on my day. Every night, without fail, I ask myself 3 simple questions. What did I do well today? Where did I falter? And how can I do better tomorrow? It's my way of decluttering the chaos of the day and focusing on growth. Take today, for instance. I had an outburst during a Senate debate, again. Someone insulted my argument for justice, calling it naive, and instead of countering with calm wisdom, I let anger drive my words like a runaway chariot. Not exactly my finest hour. So tonight I write, let anger guide me today. Tomorrow I will guide it. That's the beauty of this habit. It's not about guilt or perfection, it's about intention. Each evening I carve away a little more of my flaws like a sculptor working marble. And let me tell you, marble takes time. Let me ask you, when's the last time you reflected on your day? Not a passing thought while brushing your teeth, but a real, honest audit? If you haven't, try it tonight. Write down 3 things you did well. Yes, even small wins count, like holding back a sarcastic comment or not binging on a big bar of chocolate. Then note 1 thing you would like to improve tomorrow. It's a small habit, but it's transformative. It turns a cluttered mind into a calm one. Even Nero could benefit from this practice. Though I suspect his nightly reflections revolve more around whether his singing deserves applause. Spoiler, it doesn't. Now, let's talk about another habit that's equally life-changing: preparing for adversity before it strikes. You see, life has a way of throwing unexpected chaos at us. I've learned that we suffer more in imagination than in reality. Let that sink in for a moment. Our minds, left unchecked, are like poorly trained gladiators, flailing wildly and creating more mess than necessary. But what if you could train your mind to confront challenges before they happen? That's exactly what I do. I mentally rehearse worst-case scenarios, not to wallow in fear, but to strip it of its power. During my years advising Nero, a job about as secure as juggling knives, I often imagined what might happen if I fell out of favor. Dismissal? Exile. Worse? I pictured myself walking into exile with my head held high, embracing the uncertainty with courage. And when it finally happened, when exile became my reality, I didn't just survive, I thrived. My preparation turned despair into opportunity. Now let me ask you, is there any challenge you're dreading this week? Take a moment to imagine the absolute worst outcome. Picture it. What's the worst that could happen? And more importantly, how would you handle it? This isn't pessimism, it's mental armor. When you rehearse adversity, you elevate your courage and embrace the mindset of someone who thrives, not just survives. So what's the fear you've been avoiding? And what's your plan to rise above it? Go ahead, visualize it. You might just surprise yourself. Oh, and one more thing, don't think this makes you a worrier. It makes you a warrior. Big difference. Even Nero rehearsed his fears, though his were more about whether the crowd would cheer for his latest tune. Spoiler, they didn't. So tonight, my friend, take time to reflect on your day. Write down your wins, note what you'd like to improve, and prepare your mind for whatever challenges may come. These habits aren't just ancient wisdom. They're the key to a life of balance, courage, and thriving in the face of adversity. What we do each day shapes who we are far more than what we say or dream. Let me share some more habits that have served me well, even in the face of Rome's chaos and my own exile. These aren't grand gestures. They're practices anyone can adopt, and they've stood the test of time. Remember to cherish your time above all else. You may think wealth is life's greatest treasure, but let me tell you, it isn't. Time is. Coins can be regained, hours cannot. I once wrote that people are frugal with their money but wasteful with their time. And yet I saw this wastefulness everywhere. Men would spend weeks debating the price of a plot of land and give their days away to idle gossip, pointless disputes, or mindless distractions. I chose differently. Instead of building grand fountains or acquiring yet another villa, I spent my time mentoring others and writing letters. Those fountains crumbled centuries ago, yet my letters endure, including the one you're hearing now, in a sense. I turned my hours into something that would outlast me. So let me ask you, how do you spend your time? How much of it is devoted to something meaningful? And how much is lost to distractions? Be honest. Tomorrow, track how you spend each hour. Write it down. You might be startled by what you see. Then ask yourself, how can I make better use of my time? How can I reclaim even a fraction of these lost hours for something that truly matters? Treat your time as the treasure it is, because once it's gone, no amount of wealth can bring it back. Now on to the next habit. Turn your setbacks into stepping stones. Life, my friend, will throw challenges your way. It doesn't matter whether you're a philosopher, a merchant, or an emperor's advisor. What matters is how you respond. Take my exile to Corsica. It was meant to break me. Stripped of my status and banished to a rocky island, I could have wallowed in self-pity, but I chose not to. Instead, I turned inward, reflecting on the nature of life and time. I wrote on the shortness of life, one of my most enduring works. What was intended as punishment became an opportunity to create something lasting. My exile wasn't my end, it was my rebirth. So I ask you, what's your Corsica? What's the setback that's knocked you off course? A failure? A rejection? A disappointment? Whatever it is, know this, it doesn't have to define you. In fact, it can become your greatest strength. Take a moment to think about your most recent challenge. How can you transform it? How can you use it to grow, to learn, to become something more? Perspective is everything. Where others see obstacles, you can see opportunities. The next time life throws you a curveball, don't waste time lamenting it. Instead, ask yourself, what can I build from this? What lesson is hidden here? How can I turn this pain into progress? You might be surprised by how much power you hold when you shift your perspective. So here's my challenge to you. Tomorrow, take stock of your time. Write down where it goes and then take control of it. And when the inevitable setback comes, see it not as the end, but as the beginning of something new. Time and adversity, they are life's twin teachers. Respect one, embrace the other, and you will thrive. Now, what will you do with your hours? And how will you use your challenges to rise? The answers are yours to discover. Simplicity, the habit that may well be the most important of all. Why? Because without it, the noise of life drowns out everything else. You can't focus on what truly matters if you're tangled in distractions, weighed down by clutter, or chasing comforts that only leave you hollow. Simplicity isn't just a choice. It's the foundation for clarity, balance, and freedom. And yes, I know what I'm talking about. Let me confess something, I've lived in luxury. Fine silks, overflowing banquets, homes so opulent they'd make you blush. But here's the catch. None of it ever brought me peace. The finer the robe, the heavier the burden. So I developed a habit that changed my life, practicing voluntary simplicity. Picture this. For days at a time, I would cast aside my comforts. I'd eat nothing but coarse bread, drink only water, and dress in the plainest garments. At first it was jarring, but soon I found it freeing. I was testing myself, asking, is this what I feared so much? And you know what? I realized I was okay. Stripped of luxury, I learned to thrive on less. I realized happiness doesn't live in wealth or comfort. It lives in your mindset. Now, I'm not suggesting you swap your dinner for stale bread or your favorite hoodie for a potato sack. But think about this. How often do you fill your life with distractions, chasing after things you don't really need? What if for just one day you let go of it all? What could you discover about yourself when you unplug from the noise? Here's the challenge. Pick a day, just one, and simplify. Turn off the endless notifications, close those 10 browser tabs, and spend the day without mindless scrolling. Instead, use that time for something meaningful. Read a book, write down your thoughts, or take a walk. Let the quiet elevate your mind and help you embrace what's truly important. Voluntary simplicity isn't deprivation, it's liberation. By letting go of the unnecessary, you'll find gratitude in the small, essential joys. A warm breeze, a smile, a moment of stillness. And when you learn to thrive on less, you'll see just how much you truly have. So what do you say? Will you dare to simplify for a day? You might just find that happiness was never tied to more, but to appreciating what already is. When you combine these habits, you unlock a mindset that can withstand anything. In just 7 days, you could feel clearer, stronger, and more intentional about your life. Imagine being that person who thrives no matter what life throws at them. So which one of these Stoic habits will you start with? Share it in the comments. And before you go, watch our next video, Become Your True Self, Carl Jung's Secrets to Transformation. It's the perfect follow-up to elevate your journey even further.